Hi everyone, this is Jeff from that'sgoodenough.for me.com, and this is another episode of the Almost Punk Enough podcast.
Yeah, you're punk enough. Well, yeah, that's good enough for me.
So today we have an episode that was actually recorded last Friday, June 19th, and it's another entry in our Riot Fest prediction-ish series with Jim Gordon, and Jason Zero, two of our Chicago residents who have been attending Riot Fest for a long time. This is the newest entry in the series, which one Facebook commentator said was the worst researched podcast ever, or something similar. And we salute you. We get a big laugh out of that, and we do and are waiting expectantly for your better podcast to come out. So anytime you do that, let us know. In the meantime, we are reacting to the day lineups, if not the set times, so we know who's playing when. We're commenting again and a bit surprised about some of the, shall we say, unexpected musicians and artists gracing the stage, as well as some of the, I guess you'd call them mainstays by this point, because they keep showing up, and other things. Riot Fest. We were kind of squeezing this in between everyone's work on Friday, so it's a bit short, as well as my kind of ongoing family medical crisis that has been plaguing us for a bit now. And so this episode is not in any way edited for sound, and I'm going to let our podcast host use their fancy algorithm to put in the commercial breaks. So if one of us stops in the middle of a sentence for a commercial break, I'm sorry, but I ain't got the time. Let's go ahead and hit the show. And we are back. I am here with our guys down in Chicago, Jason and Jim, to once again talk about some Riot Fest stuff. I know we wanted to really talk about the lineup, at least when they were released, if not set times, a couple weeks ago. But there's just so much going on in real life. We never got to it, so this is kind of our makeup for it. As one commentator on the Facebooks said, this is the worst researched podcast. So take it away, boys.
Yeah, I can't promise that this podcast is going to be any more research than the previous ones, but we'll set the bar low.
I say, I'll just say, do your own podcast, right?
Right?
Everyone
Yeah. If you
has
don't
the
like
free
it,
rein to do that.
Yeah.
Good point.
That's my attitude. You know, if you don't like it, go out and do your own. And see how well you do, Bucko.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have some news. If I understand correctly, we know who's playing, and do we now have set times? Is that the story? We know who's playing against whom.
We have the daily lineups, so we know
Okay.
who's playing on what days. We don't have the schedule quite yet. And knowing Riot Fest, we probably won't have the schedule until, if you're optimistic, mid-August.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. So, is there anything that jumps out at you right away from the daily schedules, or at least who's playing which day?
I mean, I
Yeah.
think, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so just a couple quick things to kind of before we jump into the overall daily schedule is, I know we had kind of all talked collectively about, after last year, which direction Riot Fest is going to go. And aside from, there were the couple obvious ones based on, the open tour dates and, bands posting their schedules. There was kind of quite a few surprises here. And my one overall comment before we get into detail day by day, I will say it kind of seems like when the lineup was first announced, I know we'll get into it later, like, it kind of seemed like, the bands were kind of, they kind of presented the bands in kind of buckets. You kind of had your headliners, Then you
Mm-hmm.
kind of had your punk and underground bands. In the middle, you kind of had a lot of like legacy, post-punk type bands, and we'll kind of get into all that. And now that the daily lineup is there, it kind of seems like they did a pretty good job, and it's probably just the way that it worked out in band schedules and kind of having that kind of spread out. It's not like there's one day that you could say, okay, this is the punk day, this is the alternative day. So that part I thought kind of worked out pretty well. But hey Jim, how about I'll turn it back over to you, and I don't know where you want to start in terms of if you want to go day by day or what you had in mind.
So I think for the audience sake, we can go day by day, and then we can kind of tell which day we kind of have circled as being our day. Lucky
Right
for
on.
me, that's not only the first day, Friday, but that's also my big day. I think that it's going to be conflicts in here, and I'm a little bit worried about it. I definitely want to see 21 Pilots. I also want to see Iggy Pop, and I'm afraid that they're going to go against each other. The Pixies, Rise Against, Alkaline Trio, Sex Pistols. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, to me, that's stacked. And then, down below, Motion City, Bayside, Guar, Slick Rick. I think Friday for me is the day. So I don't know. What were your thoughts on Friday?
Yeah, Friday, I admit, from the kind of headliners down, it's kind of stacked. The undercard for me, I'm going to be brutally honest, there's not a lot that I'm familiar with. Looking at kind of the undercard for that day, believe it or not, aside from like Guttermouth and the Paradox, other than by name, I'm not familiar with most of those bands. I've listened to Teen Mortgage a little bit. There's a lot there. Now, don't take me. You know me. I'm more of an underground punk guy. So there's definitely just because just because I may not be familiar with the band is no indication on the band's talent or popularity. So take that just me speaking for me. Just being brutally honest, 21 Pilots as a headliner went across the street to watch them. So I'll just move on from there. Iggy Pop, always respected him. Never been a huge Stooges fan, but never seen him. So
Mm.
therefore, definitely would like to see him. Everybody knew the Rise Against trio was coming. A couple themes that I will say overall do carry, and I think maybe even all 3 days, is we have a lot of repeats from last year, which usually they try to avoid, right? Because trio played the main fest as well as an after show last year, but I guess there's no way you could have excluded them based on the fact they were on the tour with Rise Against. So either
Yeah.
way, those both those bands are always stellar at Riot Fest. So that's a no-brainer for anyone trying to catch them. I've never seen the Pixies, so that would be completely rad. And then the last thing I'll comment for me on Friday is, I'm just kind of while everybody would have been kind of excited and rooting for the Pistols to be playing the same day as PIL, I'm I'm kind of glad they're not, just
Yeah.
because if they were, that's all everybody would be talking about from here until September. So I'm just kind of glad that conversation is done, and hopefully people can enjoy both those for what they are. Because if they were on this same day, it would always be one versus the other, who was better, who had the better crowd. So I'm just kind of glad that as a fan of both, that's kind of eliminated.
I'm excited to hear Johnny Rotten's comments on Saturday about Sex Pistols playing the day before, or does he
Right?
just still quote unquote take the high road and not mention it? It's Johnny Rotten. He's going to say something.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. It's like I think the Sex Pistols are going to go out there and put on a performance. I think Johnny Rotten will use his stage to be, as you said, like Johnny Rotten. We'll see what happens.
I'm definitely curious about that. A couple of things on the undercard on Friday. Um, Soul Glow.
Hmm.
Check them out.
Mm.
They're good. They had a lot of buzz a couple years ago with their record. I don't know if they have a new record this year. I'll have to look. But definitely into them. Sloth Rust. I saw them in Dallas a couple of years ago. They were really good. They kind of were giving me like a female-led Nirvana vibe, and
Mm.
I don't know if you know the Callous Boys.
Hmm.
For me, I love that name. I know Dallas Cowboys, it's a little bit tongue in cheek of a joke, Dallas
Ha!
Cowboys, but
Didn't even pick
there
up on that.
there's something else. There's something
Right
else.
on.
I saw them at the Cobra Lounge, I think it was a year or two ago. And I mean, they're one of those bands that's a genre mash. You'll get screamo, you'll get some kind of R&B breakdowns, you'll get some maybe rap, and like some like grindcore. I think I don't know if you know about these bands, and um, we can talk about Vanna, but she's also got kind of a mashup thing going, a lot of genres in one. But Callous Cowboys, they do it right, and I definitely am going to be catching them on Friday.
Yeah, they're one thing, you pointed out the kind of tongue in cheek name right there. One thing I like about them is the name is silly, it's funny. I like that kind of stuff, but their music isn't some cheesy like, oh, we're just in it
Mm.
because we're going to be goofy kind of thing.
No,
They really put a lot of thought into what they do in their songs, and we like to cover them. I think they're going to be a fun catch for that day.
yeah, and they're loud, and they'll definitely get the crowd livened up.
Sounds good. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So we move on to Saturday.
Sounds
Sure.
good.
Yeah. Now I will not be going to this. I will not be able to make it down like I always never do. But I will say this much: the headliners, I don't give a damn about any of them. Okay,
Really? Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
I can't stand maybe Nas for the
Yeah.
but Morrissey can't stand. Tool overrated to me. And annoying. Tool reminds me, I think, what's his name from There Will Be Blood, the actor.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I know who you're talking
You know
about.
who I'm talking about. I think he's like,
Yeah,
everyone thinks he's a great actor. I think he's such an over actor. Um, and
yeah, he played.
I don't like it. I don't like him. See, now I'm really derailing you guys. You guys go Daniel Day-Lewis. I think Tool is like the
Uh,
Daniel Day-Lewis of music. Like everyone thinks it's brilliant, and I'm just like, this is so it's boring to me.
yeah, I think
I mean,
so I'll just jump in here. I'm just going to say a few things about Saturday. Actually, based on I know personal schedules, that's a day that I know for sure. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make, which
Okay.
really bums me out because both Public Image Limited and Sugar were very high on my list of bands I
Mm,
wanted to see. It is what it is. I'm with you on Tool. I appreciate the talent, but not a band I care to see. I'm not even going to touch Morrissey because I'll go on for a half hour and everyone has their own opinion. So let a couple things here like Social D Descendants and Chats. That's a tour.
mhm.
Um, I as much as I love all those bands, I never need to see Social D nor Descendants again in my life, and I'd be fine. I just think I think they play too much. Bad Religion. I have no idea why they're there again.
Mm.
I don't even go to Riot Fest as many times as like Jim probably has, and I've probably seen Bad Religion there 5 times already. You know, on top of the literally
yes,
20 other times I've seen in my life. And I love the band. I just don't. It seems like it seems like a wasted slot considering they were there last year doing a full album play. I can only think that they're on tour and the timing was perfect. I'd be shocked if they specifically went after them. I don't
Mhm.
know. Maybe they're on tour with somebody else. I don't know. Sugar though, really quick. Sugar to me is the big one. I think for the past 3 years, you guys have been, Husker Du in some fashion has always been on my list of, a reunion wish list that I know will never happen. Sugar reuniting, amazing. Those albums are brilliant. Bob Mould is still great live. I got a chance to see him a couple years ago. Did a few
Mhm.
Sugar tunes. That's amazing. Yeah, then you have Paul Bless and Jake. A lot of just Riot Fest faithful. Quickly on the undercard, the Chats for me would be huge. That's a band I've loved since I first heard them that I've
Right.
never gotten to see live. They always seem to kind of tour with weird kind of co-headliners that don't seem to fit, which is kind of brilliant in a way because I think they kind of built their own niche that way. So a festival like Riot Fest would be perfect for me to see them. And yeah, there's a lot of bands on there like Burning Airlines would be great to see. I do love Jay Robbins. Never seen Burning Airlines. Um, Yeah, so I will leave it there. Just like I said, my comment on Saturday is just too many too many repeats and things that I don't think are just that exclusive for Riot Fest. And here comes Jim to tell me why I'm completely wrong.
Well, we all have different tastes, and it's all good.
Yes,
But
absolutely, my
I'm
friend.
excited for Tool. I saw Tool at United Center a couple years ago, and I like Danny Carey. I like you said, the musicianship. They're amazing musicians. Danny Carey is really fun to watch. Um, I think that they'll get the crowd going. They've got enough well-known tunes to put together an amazing set. I've also I don't want to make any predictions. We all know how my predictions went for the lineup this year. Don't want to get into that. But I have my fingers crossed for a Tool Undertow album play, which I think
Mm.
would be pretty cool.
Okay,
Um,
so this is the uneducated on their history to me. But I remember that name. Is that the one with sober?
yes, it's got Sober
Okay.
on it, and it's pretty stacked. Um, would love to hear it. I think it's more of like a personal wish than actually something that could happen.
Mhm.
But you never know. It's Riot Fest, and we know that there'll be album plays. So fingers crossed for that one. Morrissey, probably won't be seeing Morrissey because fingers. I mean, I just have a feeling that Morrissey and Tool will be pitted against each other. I think that their fan bases are very different,
Mhm.
so I think it would make sense if they were both headliners and kind of split up the crowd a little bit. Um, really amped about Sugar. I like All American
Yeah.
Rejects,
Mhm.
and I haven't seen them in a while. I know that they kind of, I don't know, just were flying under the radar for a while. I don't know if they have a dude ranch somewhere that they just were kicking around on for a few years, but they're off the ranch. They're touring again. Looking forward to seeing them. Do you guys know anything about Angine de Poitrine?
No.
No.
So my son mentioned it, and he's like, "Oh my God, Angine de Poitrine." And I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute, what is this? This is this a thing?" And they've got kind of a costume situation going. I think it's just two people, drums and a guitar singer, and they wear these costumes, and they're from Montreal, I think.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
I'm
Hmm.
looking at him now. Yep, I
yeah,
see.
yes, and
Wha-
supposedly their shows sell out in like minutes, and the tickets go for exorbitant prices on second tier market. I'm curious to see what it's all about. I've listened to the music. It's uh, it's interesting. I'm
So,
really
Hmm.
excited to see what kind of crowd comes out to check them out, and what they bring.
I just really, really super quick. I looked them up on Google right now. So, part of their costuming is everything's like polka dots. Like
Hmm.
they wear these weird costumes. Like this guy's got the super big hat. But when I pressed enter on the Google search and it came up, the whole screen for a second flashed polka dots and then went away.
Oh
So
wow.
Google like has knows some response to do this when you search for them, and the whole screen came up as polka dots for a second, right when I searched for them, and that's like their whole outfit kind of thing. So they people know what's going on, I guess.
Yeah,
So
they've got an underground following. Like I said,
Cool.
when they play, it's a big deal. And I guess it's really hard to get tickets. And I just want to see what the fuss is about. I am up for Descendants. I hear you. I've seen them a few times now at Riot Fest, and it's the Descendants, right? They're playing their classics. We know the songs. We've been listening to them
Yep.
since we were young. So
mhm.
Yep.
it's not. I
Absolutely.
agree. It's not really any kind of new ground, but if it happens to line up with my schedule, I'll check them out. Bright Eyes. Um, I'm always up for seeing Connor. I think he's talented. I think he's a talented songwriter. If it happens to fit into my schedule, I'll check out some Bright Eyes. Um, Strike Anywhere,
Yes.
always solid. So I mean, Saturday is a good day, and then I got to get into some of these other bands that I don't know well,
Hmm.
and definitely excited for Burning Airlines. And I know some people are into Afro Man. I think that's going to be fun, and I think that the crowd for that uh, will be live because I know people are,
Right.
he's got some hits out there.
I like Melt Banana is on there. That's one I wish I could be there to see. Fun Japanese, been going since 1992. Japanese kind of punk
Oh yeah.
band.
Yep.
It's good. And like I agree with you. The Strike Anywhere looks good. Chat Pile definitely, and No Bro. Those are bands that we like to cover as well. Yeah, I can see where Jason is coming from with the kind of top of the list is either bands that I as I said, wouldn't want to see, or the ones that play there often, you know. Um, so yeah, the repeats, yeah, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, Bad Religion, I think they kind of have an open invitation at Riot Fest. Um, and I've seen them a lot of times. I've seen them at Riot Fest, outside of Riot Fest, headlining shows. Love them. If there's a conflict there, it won't be a heartbreaker because I have seen them
Hmm.
Right.
often.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
yeah, you know. But if it lines up, it will be a good show for sure. Um, and yeah, oh, I mentioned Vanna. Check
Hmm.
out Vanna because that's gonna be heavy. She's got uh it almost leaves me speechless, I guess. It's a little bit like Callous Cowboys. It's like multiple genres. Um, I don't know if you guys know Kali Uchis, kind of a pop singer that goes around with Tyler the Creator. But
Yeah,
her voice reminds me of Kali Uchis, but then she brings in some heavy kind of grindcore metal on top of it. And I'm going to be there because I think it's going to be something to see.
sounds good. Yeah.
That's what I've got for Saturday.
All right, and then so Jason, you're not going to be there on Saturday. That's ooh, but
Unfortunately. Yep.
Sunday,
No,
Sunday,
that one I know
Sunday.
for sure.
All right.
So yeah. So
So yeah, Sunday
Sunday
we
is a
get
hopeful.
yeah we got headlining Pierce the Veil, Alanis Morissette, and Elvis Costello. If I was going to be there, I would really really want to see Elvis Costello. But let you take the floor. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'll jump in on this one. Yeah, yeah. Pierce the Veil couldn't name a song if you asked me to. Alanis Morissette, I get why she's there. I can appreciate her. Just being brutally honest, no desire to see her. Can't, not gonna fake it. You guys know I don't. Elvis Costello and Patti Smith, two icons I've never seen live.
Hmm.
Would definitely gladly catch either of their set. For obvious reasons. We talked about this last year, right? Our heroes aren't going to be around forever. So, it was definitely cool to see both those on the bill. Just this is just me being me. I never even heard of the format or Twin Peaks, and I'm sure once
Yeah,
again you guys will come in and tell me why I should know them, and I eagerly await that.
I'm in the
Yeah,
same boat as you on that.
Oh, okay, right on, right on. Yeah, then the ones below there too. There's a handful of Bowling for Soup, Taking Back Sunday, ICP, not surprising. Pennywise, appreciate them. Just never like decide are you metal or are you hardcore. That's why I could
Mm.
never pick a side. They have some good songs, but overall was never a huge fan. The undercard though on Sunday actually is a little more few bands I really want to see. Last year, one of my favorite albums was I'm probably butchering this name, but Algernon Cadwallader. Emo band. They had like their first album in I don't know, it was quite some time last year. Was
Hmm.
really good. Just kept popping up for me on Spotify based on other bands I was listening to and based on other friends' recommendations. Really dig them a lot. I know like similar to what Jim was saying before about I forgot what other band, but like whenever they play, their gigs sell out quickly. So be kind of cool to catch them here. I always like Sincere Engineer. They fall in my bucket of a band every single time I hear them. I like them. I like all their songs. I don't really ever go see them at their own shows, but I've seen them at Riot Fest a handful of times, and they seem to play like once every 2 to 3 years. And I know they're dropping a new album, and the lead off singles have been great, so that's a definite welcome addition. Then you got a little bit of more of the underground, punk with, of course, hardcore legends Murphy's Law. If you've ever seen Murphy's Law, it's literally about 5 minutes of music surrounding around 35 minutes of bullshitting on stage. Don't know if you're familiar. Good Riddance. Man, I haven't seen Good Riddance probably since Fireside Bowl or maybe Metro or something.
Yeah,
it's been a hell of a long time. I know they dropped a new album. I've heard a couple songs that definitely sounded great. So yeah, that would be, would definitely check them out. And there's a lot of bands who I've heard of. I've heard a lot of good things about Arm's Length. I know they've been around for a while. I know I've heard them on Spotify, so I'm sure there's listeners out there saying I'm crazy for not knowing them a lot more than I do, but would definitely check them out. And the Flatliners has always been an interesting band. I'm pretty sure they're Canadian. I know they have some releases on Fat, and yeah, that's another band that I've heard a few times, but haven't absorbed enough. But their presence at Riot Fest would definitely force me to kind of check them out a little bit more and hopefully catch them live. A couple other bands that I've definitely seen, like I know on other tours that I know people seem to dig, like Max Seal and Haywire and stuff. So it's a once again. As I said before, I think this about all 3 days. I think they did kind of a good job of kind of spreading out all the different subgenres across all 3 days, and I think Sunday's no exception.
Mm-hmm. Jim?
So, yeah, I mean, I agree. The thing that jumps out about me on Sunday, as Jason mentioned, is the earlier bands, or maybe the lesser known bands, if you want to put it that way. One of those bands that I'm really excited to see, and I have seen before, Dead to Me. Love them. Saw them at Brower House 4 or 5 years ago. Tore the place down. They're just so good. I don't know if you know Jack Dalrymple, but he's been in and out of the scene. He's got many bands. He One Man Army. He's kind of the main guy.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Toy guitar.
Very distinctive. So I really like his stuff. And Dead to Me, is pretty much him at his best. With the other singer is Chicken, and he's kind of a character. So definitely don't miss Dead to Me. The top of the lineup doesn't really do much for me. Pierce the Veil, as you mentioned, I mean, I get why people like them. They're got kind of a poppy edginess to them, maybe like a Blink, not like they're not like Blink 182, but I could see them drawing a crowd like Blink 182, because they're that kind of popular band. But if they go up against Alanis, I'll probably catch some of that. Jagged Little Pill is a classic record. You ought to know. I mean, and one thing about Alanis that at least I don't know, I might be speaking out of turn here, but I feel like she's going to show up and play and sing for real. She's not going to have a lot of backing tracks. She's not going to have a lot of, extra technology propping her up. So I think when you see her, you're going to get a true performance, which I always welcome at a festival. I want to see someone perform their songs for real and not just stand with the tape playing along,
Hey, Jim, if I can cut in, one quick thing I want to mention about Alanis that I wanted to mention before is, I don't remember if it was last year or the year before. I believe she was a headliner at Pitchfork also. So, she probably maybe is tapped more into maybe, some underground scenes that, maybe I'm just not aware of, that other people who book festivals have picked up on, that have, maybe propelled her to being, a proper, because I know this seems to be like on paper head scratcher for a lot of folks, but, there's probably some, sub genre of fan base that she has, of which, will probably make this a solid fit. that, may, as you said, based on how she performs, will kind of change people's opinions of this booking once they see her.
Right.
I could see that happening. So
I can see that happening as well too. Yeah.
Definitely. One thing that I noticed, I've got obviously, I always do spreadsheets, put everything in a spreadsheet. I've got my days split out Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And Friday and Saturday have about 35 bands. Sunday has 31. So there's room, I think, maybe to add a couple bands for Sunday. And so I'm hoping, maybe that they throw a couple more bands in there. So we'll have to wait and see. I think there's room this year for the entire lineup in general, maybe for a little bit more strength, a couple more big bands to kind of round it out. So we'll see. If that doesn't happen, I'm still happy. I think it's a really solid lineup, but if it does happen, it would make sense. And I definitely think Sunday is a day that could maybe use one or two more strong bands. I did want to touch on the format because you guys were saying I don't know anything about this. I looked into it because once again they were close to the top, and I'm thinking, what's the story here? How come I haven't heard of them? So I have to do a little digging. And the band Fun?
yeah,
Yeah, the kind of, I don't know if you want to call it a youth anthem, but it is basically a youth anthem. Tonight we are young.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys are now the format. I don't know. I'm 99% sure that it's the singer that is in the format. It does sound a lot like Fun. So I think that's the attraction there. I don't know if they play those songs. I'm guessing no. But if you're into that band, you'll probably be into the format.
Gotcha.
All right. All right. Any other final thoughts before we close up shop here with our time?
Yeah, I'll just say a couple of quick final things. I know we only have a couple minutes here. Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's a strong lineup for Riot Fest overall. For me personally, I was so pleased this punch the last 2 years because it really, it definitely leaned more to the punk side of things, right? With like the NoFX stage, and last year, with just all those Midwest and Chicago bands, it was way up my alley and amazing after shows. This year, it definitely seems like they just kind of threw, they mixed up and really went just, mixed bag, of all subgenres. So, this is kind of more, I think, of like your standard Riot Fest. And I hate to say it, this is a type of lineup that for me, when it first started becoming the big fest outdoors, why it took me so long to finally go to one because of lineups like this. And this is, once again, this is me speaking for myself, not trying to encourage or discourage anybody, but this is definitely kind of more of what I'll call a true festival approach lineup than a, hey, we're going to kind of focus on just this subgenre, which I mean,
Right.
I get it. I get why they do it. So that's just my feedback. Cause you're probably not hearing a lot of excitement in my voice this year as compared to last year. So that's why, but I still think it'll be a successful festival.
Awesome.
Definitely. The thing is, as I was getting ready for the lineup announcement, obviously we do our predictions, and we talked about this in that podcast. It just band after band that I thought would be great for Riot Fest this year. We're booking other things and we're getting taken off the table. Slater Kinney, Bikini Kill, The Strokes, Jimmy Eat World, and the list goes on. And I'm thinking that, then other festivals are announcing their bands, and
Right.
those conflicts were going to prevent those bands from playing Riot Fest. And I was thinking, who is going to play Riot Fest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, the lineup definitely surprised me. There are a lot of bands here that were a surprise, and I think it's strong, definitely, from top to bottom. It's time for the homework. I think you have to get into some of these bands you haven't heard of, and you never know. Every year I'm like, wow, haven't heard of this band, and I'm not missing this set because I'm into this. So, Yeah, that's where I am right now. I think it's solid. I'm definitely excited for every day and got to do my homework.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much, guys, for coming in today, and we'll maybe when the actual lineup or time set times comes out, we'll come at it again.
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
All right, have a great one. Thank you much, guys.
You
You
too.
too.
Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.
Oh, wow, shit. That was exciting. We got it down just to the wire using our free Zoom accounts, which only allow us 40 minutes of recording time. So that was the show. We hope to do more on Riot Fest soon. I never get to go to Riot Fest. I pretty much joke about it the whole time. But to Jim and Jason, it's serious business, and they get really excited every year about what's going to happen with Riot Fest. So we hope you come back for another episode of Almost Punk Enough Podcast, either the Riot Fest coverage or just anything else, like our upcoming interview with the good people from Damn It Records over in the UK, which should be coming soon. In the meantime, you can find Almost Punk Enough at any podcasting service of choice. And don't forget to visit that'sgoodenough4me.com for all of your punk adjacent, and everything else related news. We are also always looking for people to join up as contributors. And if you're curious about that, hit us a DM by any of our social media services or reach out to us at contact@that'sgoodenough4me.com. See you next time.